welcome to Year 3-4 edition of Teach Time. Now today we're going to be focusing on fractions of an amount and fractions of a number. So, firstly we're going to focus on what exactly is a fraction. Now, here is a simple fraction. The bottom number tells me how many pieces it's cut into, or how many pieces it's a group of if we're doing a number. For example, if I had a pizza, this number, the denominator, tells me how many pieces I need to cut my pizza into. Now, when I cut my pizza, I won't cut it into 4 uneven pieces. I'm going to cut it into 4 equal pieces, so everyone gets the same amount. It's the same as if I was doing it with counters. Now here I've got 8 counters. If I were to sort these into 4 equal groups, I would make sure that everybody had the same amount of counters. I wouldn't give somebody 1 and somebody else 3. So here I can see that each quarter, this is what it means if there's a 4 at the bottom, each quarter has 2 counters. Now my number at the top is called the numerator. That tells me how many pieces I'm looking at, or if it helps, how many pieces are shaded in. So I need to shade in 1/4 of my pizza, because that's the fraction I'm looking at. Now you can do a lot better colouring than this, I'm doing it a bit quickly. If I was doing this with the counters, it means that I would shade in 1/4 of my counters. Now this is a simple fraction. Some other simple fractions are 1/2, 1/3, and at the top you can always see that I'm putting a 1. This means it's a unit fraction. A unit fraction just means that the number 1 is at the top. If I did 2/3, it would be a non-unit fraction. That's a bit of terminology, a bit of maths vocab that you can keep in your mind, and it'll help you later on. But we're just going to be looking at unit fractions first. I'm going to give you a fraction. I want you to pause the video in a minute. We'll go through one of them first, but in a minute you're going to pause the video and have a go at this yourself. So I'm going to do this as a circle. You can do it as a square, a rectangle, or you can do it as counters. But I'm going to work out 1/2 of my circle. So I'm going to look at the bottom number. I'm going to look at the denominator. That tells me how many pieces to cut into. So I know that I need to cut into 2 equal pieces. My numerator tells me how many need to be shaded in. So 1 of my 2 pieces needs to be shaded in. Okay, now I'm going to let you have a go at these 2 fractions. So I will draw circles for me when I do it later on, but you can do it as squares or as counter amounts. Okay, so pause the video now and see if you can cut these into the right amount of pieces, and if you can shade in the right amount of pieces too. Okay, let's have a go at these. So we'll start with 1/3. Now this bottom number tells me that I need to cut it into 3 pieces. Now on circles, thirds can be a little bit tricky, but if you've ever seen the peace sign, then it makes it a little bit easier. So I've cut mine into 3 equal pieces, or just about equal. Then I look at my numerator and it tells me how many I need to colour in. So I need to colour in 1 piece. Okay, and so that tells me that I've got 1/3 of my pizza. Now we're going to have a look at this one. So we did quarters a minute ago, we did splitting into 4 pieces. So I know that I need to have 4 equal pieces. Now I wonder if you can remember what it's called if it doesn't have a 1 at the top. If you said non-unit, then you're absolutely right. This is a non-unit fraction. This one here, because it's got a 1, it's a unit fraction. But this one is non-unit. And it tells me that I need to shade in 3 pieces of my pizza. So I would make sure that I leave 1 spare. Now, if I were just to draw a fraction now, this one's going to be a little bit trickier. So I'm going to shade in this much of my shape. When you count to know what your denominator is, you have to count all the pieces, not just the ones that aren't shaded in. So I know that my shape is split into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces. So I do my line here. Always remember, when you write a fraction, it's got that line through the middle. So I know that on the bottom I need to have the number 8 because I've cut it into 8 equal pieces. And I've shaded in 1, 2, 3. So that means that my 3 goes at the top. Now, I want you to have a go at drawing your own shape and writing a fraction to it. So pause the video now and have a go at drawing a shape and write the fraction for it. Fantastic. Now, check with your mums or dads or any adult at home. Get them to make sure that you've done the right fraction for it. I'm going to go through one more with you and then I'll let you know how the lesson will go on. So this time I'm going to do counters. So this time I have 9 counters and I want to show 2 thirds. Now this means that I've got to split my counters into 3 equal groups. So I might have 1 group here, 2 groups here, and the 3rd group there. Let's check that they're equal. Perfect. So I want to shade in 2 of those 3 groups. Now that doesn't mean just shade in 2 counters for each group. That means shade in 2 whole groups. Okay, now here's how the lesson's going to go on. On the Facebook page, get your mums or dads to check on the Facebook page. Teach Time 2020. And on there there'll be a Year 3-4 fractions activity. Your job is to go through the different fractions on there, shade in the right amount for some of the fractions, and then write the right number for the other fractions. So you might have on your sheet a fraction that looks a little bit like this, and it's shaded in some of them, but all it's given you is the bottom of your fraction. Or it might not have given you any of your fraction at all. Okay? Don't spend too long on this. If it's too tricky, have a little go at it, take a break, and then come back to it later. Something like fractions can be really hard to begin with, so don't get disheartened. So spend 10 to 15 minutes if you want on today's activity. You could spend 20 if you're keen. But then have a go at looking at fractions around the house. Try sorting some sweeties that you might have if your mum or dad let you. Okay, and have fun, everyone.